Welcome to Search for Mighty Max. This is the show where me and my brother, we search for, find, and talk about toys, comics, cards, games, and anything else fandom. Welcome to the world of fandom. The fandom of the opera is here. So as you can see, I got a PowerPoint presentation prepared for you today. I've got some Pokemon plushies. Behind me here, we got the starters and Pikachu and a Snorlax hanging out in the living room where so much gaming has been done. And today we're talking about the Pokemon games. And I'm going to be showing you my Pokemon teams for the Pokemon games that I have played. I haven't played them all, but I played a couple. And I do remember some of the teams that I had. And I made some pictographs of those. So I threw them in a PowerPoint, and that's what we're gonna look at today. So first off, what do I play these things on, right? So originally I played them on the Game Boy Pocket. I'd bought another one, and it just was it felt so outdated and small for my adult hands. I said, there's no way, man. When I'm playing these games, I gotta go with an upgrade. So I got a Game Boy Color. I decided to go with a black one because I had a black Game Boy Pocket, and here it is right here. Boom. And we got loaded up in the Game Boy Color. That's right. We got Pokemon Red because that's what I remember playing, and this shit is the best. So that's what I ended up playing Pokemon Red on again. Instead of the Pocket, went with the Color. Much better choice. And then ended up also getting a Nintendo 3DS. I don't have that out right now, but I'll definitely show that in a later video. And this is what I call my Pocket Consoles timeline. So I had a Game Boy Pocket, and then I graduated / upgraded to a Game Boy Color. Definitely a good decision. Can play all kinds of different games on that thing. And now I have a Nintendo 3DS as well that I can also play some games on. So one of my teams will be Pokemon Sun. Here's the box and the game for that. My brother actually had hooked me up with this game, so thank you for hooking me up with not only the game, but he also got me the 3DS, which was great. He was like, here's a 3DS, and here's a new Pokemon game. And I was like, okay, guess we'll check it out. Because you'll definitely see there's a skip in between my teams here. So without further ado, actually, you know what? There's some more ado that I'd like to do. I wanted to show off this because I thought this was pretty rad. So this is the Pokemon Red, Blue soundtrack. It's the Japanese release of it. So it looks super dope. I had actually found a copy of this in Japan, and I either sold it or donated it or something stupid, right? Like every time I'm getting my hands on these cool things and then they just disappear from my life, and I'm like, why did I do that? That was stupid. So I found another copy. It wasn't too much. They're definitely old, so they can get pretty shredded, but I just like the design of it because it's got the original Japanese kind of design of the starters. So on the front we got Charizard. On the back you have Venusaur. And then in the center here, you got Blastoise. And then what's really cool is that if you open up the whole thing, hold up, you can see all three of them. And then if you open up the whole thing from the inside, look at this lineup. Are you serious? This is so awesome. So I thought that'd be something I want to throw on a shelf eventually. Once I get a gaming shelf or something, I'll throw that on there and open that up, and that'll be a really cool display for something. So yeah, there's the inside and the 2 discs. And then on the other side, you have all the starters, and they look awesome. Also came with this really cool little insert Somebody threw a sticker in there too with Ash, so it's like, okay, that's sweet, cool. But this has, like, these are all stickers and all the Pokemon names, and they're just like all the numbered versions and their names in Japanese, which was cool. Then it has that little insert, and this is like a hollow kind of piece, and that's where the Ash sticker was. So that was just like an insert that was inside of it. When I first had this, I didn't have the insert. So I was looking around and I was like, hey, what is that? I guess I better make sure that I get it with the insert. So Pocket Monsters, Paquetto, Monsta, album from Pikachu Records in the corner there. So yeah, had to show that off as well. Alright, now without further ado, going into the teams. So here's the OG team. I had remembered what my team was when I was first playing this game, because I knew who I chose going through, and I was like, okay, I gotta keep that guy, I gotta keep that guy. I had chosen Charmander to start off with, which meant that I ended up with Charizard at the end. Pretty strong fire type, right? But I also had an Arcanine, because I just thought, like, what is that? Like a tiger dog? Like, that is the raddest thing ever. So I had another fire type in my team. And I know, like, you want to diversify and do this and that, but by the time you get to Cinnabar Island, and I was like, what is this? And it was the red exclusive, right? Because blue had something different. I was like, dude, I got to keep an Arcanine. This guy's awesome. Earlier on in the game, I'd found a Sandshrew who evolved into Sandslash, and I was like, dude, that's like one of my favorite Pokemon for some reason. He's just so cool. Ground type, just awesome, right? And then one of the evolutions, I needed an electric type Pokemon because there were so many, those freaking birds, right? There's so many birds in that game. So many bird trainers, and I was like, dude, I'm going to murder somebody. These freaking birds are so annoying. They fly up and you can't hit them and do this and that. I was like, I need a one-hit KO, take out these birds. So I evolved the Eevee into a Jolteon, and that was my electric type. Gengar's a solid choice. Always, I think that's definitely a fan favorite as well for me. So evolving him, I think this is one of the ones you had to trade it, right? So you had to trade, and then you get the Haunter to turn it to the Gengar. So that was cool because you had to trade it, and then you could get it, right? So I was like, dude, trade me a Haunter so I can get a Gengar. And then boom, that was like part of my team. I was like, okay, awesome. And then Articuno was actually, I think, the first one that I saw. That was like when you walk up to it and you're like, what is that? Like a Pokemon that's just sitting there. Articuno was mine. So I was like, oh, I'm definitely going to like capture this one and like keep it, right? Gotta have one of the legendary Pokemon. And I also needed a bird so I could fly around. So I was like, twofer, legendary flying around. I was like, perfect. So that's my OG team for Pokemon Red. Now I got some of the sprites as well, because that first slide was with all the pictures of my team, but I don't really remember where I got those images from. These are the actual sprites from the game. This is from the Game Boy Color, so these are the colorized versions of those characters, which just look a little bit different because you're getting them in the game, right? And then when I originally played this game, and this is how I saw them, was in black and white. Because that's what I played on. I played on the Pocket, and the Pocket was only black and white. So that's what my sprites looked like when I was playing this game. And dude, that takes me back. Looking at those, I'm like, yes, that's exactly what they look like. Charizard was like, I'm gonna freaking butt you. And I was like, what? What are those little horns? Like, what's going on here? And then Arcanine just looking super cool. Like, I don't know why. That sprite just looks so awesome to me. Sandslash looking a little funny compared to the earlier picture. But that's okay. He's still cool. I needed a ground type. Jolteon looking a little frou-frou with all those little spiny electricity whatever things. But he's still cool. Gengar looks awesome. Articuno looks cool. So yeah, that's my OG team with the black and white sprites. So within the past couple of years, me and my brother decided to search for, find, and talk about Pokemon. And we decided to play Pokemon Red, but only with normal Pokemon. So it was normal Pokemon, and if they were normal and flying, that was okay, because we're like, well, birds are normal, I guess. As long as it didn't have any other attributes. If it was just normal or flying, and that's it, then we were good to go. And I actually gave them some nicknames this time. I never was really good at giving nicknames to my Pokemon teams, but this time I did. So I gave a Raticate, was actually my starter Pokemon. So Raticate was ROUS, a rodent of unusual size, from the Princess Bride. I thought that was clever. So Raticate was my starter Pokemon. And then I ended up getting a Polygon later, calling that Pokemon Gigabyte. And then later, going into what's that? Safari Zone. I found the bull, the Tauros. Called that guy North Star, which I thought was pretty clever because it's like an astrology sign, right? Like Taurus, Tauros. So North Star. Ended up picking up that Snorlax. I was like, dude, I've never actually played with the Snorlax in my team. And that fool's always just blocking the way, and I got to play the flute. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to capture this guy. And then I ended up doing that, and I was like, you know what? I'm just going to keep him in my team. I didn't realize that he was a normal Pokemon, so I was like, hell yeah. And I thought he was just so lazy. Like lazy Saturdays, right? So I called him Saturday. A Snorlax named Saturday. And then I picked up an Eevee, and I was like, you know what? Eevee is all good on her own. So I'm going to call that Eevee Foxy Brown. Because it just looks like a little fox, and it's like kind of a play on words, right? Like Foxy Brown is another character. And I was like, that works, cool. And then I got a Farfetch'd, who actually saved the day. If you're gonna play Pokemon with just normal Pokemon, there's certain things you have to do to advance to get through the game, and you have to teach them certain types of the HMs, right? So if I remember right, you could teach Cut to the Farfetch'd, and then you can get around the game. So I ended up calling Farfetch'd Ducks. Just easy, right? Easy way to remember it. I'm like, that's a duck for sure. So that is my in real life is what I called it team, because it was like real life animals. They look kind of normal, except for the weird Polygon for some reason. That was a normal Pokemon instead of like Psychic or something else. And I was like, oh, we're definitely going to exploit this. That's a normal type, so not my fault. So Polygon, started off with Eradicate, got the Polygon, Tauros, Snorlax, Eevee, and then Farfetch'd. Alright, so that was like red team, my blue team, I guess. I never really played on the blue one. But I think all those Pokemon were in both, so all good to go. So if I played on the green cartridge, which I've seen it, and it looks pretty sweet, because they didn't release it in America, right? It's just a Japanese release. I think since then they've kind of translated it and done all that stuff. But this is my green team. If I played a third time and I was like, okay, I gotta pick Venusaur for green, right? So I'm gonna start off with the with the Bulbasaur that turns into the Venusaur. I always thought like Ponyta and Rapidash were cool, like a fiery horse. Like that'd be pretty sweet. So I picked that one, and then a Kangaskhan I would choose, because that's a little baby Cubone for sure. So I never actually played with the Kangaskhan, so I play with Kangaskhan. And then Aerodactyl, like, are you serious? Like, we got some prehistoric, like, pterodactyl, Aerodactyl, whatever, like dinosaurs. Like, I should definitely play with a Pokemon that's a dinosaur, right? Like, that'd be cool. And then Lapras, the transport Pokemon. I feel like that's just a solid choice. Got some good strong water moves, so that'd be a good one. And then I don't know if I ever played with Mew, because I know you got to do like something special or get like a hack or whatever. Get that Game Shark in there so you can get that Mew. Or you go to a Pokemon event in 1999, which I can't go to, so have to throw on that Game Shark on there. But I would try to play with the Mew. I think that would be interesting. So that would be my green team. Haven't actually played with this team. I was just kind of messing around. And those are the sprites for that team. Alright, so I did play Pokemon Gold. I know that's the sequel to Red, Blue, Green. I remember having a lot of fun with that game. Ended up getting the Typhlosion? The Fiery Ferret, right? And then I ended up keeping a Furret. That was one of the earlier Pokemon you get in the game. And I just liked him, and I was like, whatever, I don't care if he's normal, doesn't have any crazy moves. I'm good at this game, I can survive. I just thought he looked cool, so I kept him. And then I got the Electric Sheep guy in Pharaohs, which was solid, good choice. I think you get that Pokemon earlier in the game too, and I was like, what, electric Pokemon, like right now? Like, that's awesome. I'm definitely going to use that. Then I got a Slowbro. Can't go wrong with the Slowbro. I've already talked about this in some of the, when we're talking about the cards. I like Slowbro. I think he's a cool Pokemon. Super funny looking, super funny name. So I made him part of my team in playing Pokemon Gold. Even when you play that game, there's at the beginning they're talking about like the Slowpokes and cutting off their tails and stuff. I was like, man, this is dark. So I was like, dude, I just got to get a Slowbro just because, right? And then you got the evolutions, so many to choose from. You can pretty much get one any game and it'd be like a different one. So I just decided to go with the Umbreon. I know there was like a night and day in this game, and you can like evolve them depending on that. So I went with the Umbreon. And then I needed a interesting kind of last Pokemon. And I was like, you know, Togepi's got an evolution now, turns into Togetic. So let's go with that one. So that's my Pokemon Gold team. These are the sprites. Sprites are always looking a little bit different than the actual images that I pulled back then. I don't remember when I actually made these pictures, but I was like, oh, I'll just kind of find some sprites, throw them together, just kind of some sprite art. I thought it was cool. And the other pictures, I don't remember what they were from. Maybe they were of the most recent game or just like some neutral something. I don't really know. But these are the actual sprites from the game, which are always a little bit different and more like, that's what you saw when you brought up your team and you were like looking at, okay, what do I got to teach them? Or when they evolved, you're like, oh, that's what they look like. Cool. And Slowbro there is just really happy. Like, look at this pink motherfucker. He's just, yeah! Yes, and this is with the Game Boy Color on this one, finally. Because I think I actually put it on an emulator. So it was with in color and everything. Alright, so I think I actually played Ruby, but I wanted to say Sapphire team. Oh, what was this other one? I said Gold team. Gold team. What did I do here? Hold on. OG team. In real life team. Because those are all the normal Pokemon. Green team. The Green Dream team. Because I never actually played with these guys. The Gold team. And then the Sapphire team. So for my Sapphire team, I'm pretty like I said, I'm pretty sure I was playing Ruby, but I just wanted to call it Sapphire team because it sounded cooler. So Swampert, the 3 starters in this game, I was like, man, I don't really, what do I choose? So I ended up going with the starter that I don't even remember his name, that turns into Swampert. And I went with Ninetales, because I used to watch Naruto, and I was like, dude, that's like the Ninetales fox, like, right? Like, I gotta do that at some point. And then I got a Gardevoir, which was like this hot plant chick thing. And I was like, alright, that's pretty cool. And then I got Blue Pikachu, a Azumarill. I was like, a Blueachu? A Blue Pikachu? Yeah, I'm gonna go for that. And then I got this cranky looking dog, this Absol, which I thought was just so cool. I was like, what is that? I'm gonna keep that dude in my team. And then Salamence, I remember just taking forever to evolve. Goes into like, it's like this little thing, and then it turns into like this egg thing, and then it just like takes forever. I was like, dude, I feel like it was like level 50 or something. I was like, is this guy ever gonna evolve into a dragon? Like, I want a dragon on my team. Why is it taking so long? But I got him in the end. So that's my Sapphire team. And that's the sprites. Always looking a little bit different. Swampert's even on 2 legs instead of 4. Ninetales has a little bit smaller tail. But yeah, that's my Sapphire team. Alright, Sun team. Like I said, my brother hooked me up with a 3DS, got me Pokemon Sun. I played that game again. So that's where that big old gap is. I don't even remember like the games that are in between, but there's like Black and White and something else and something else and I don't know, some other game. Definitely kind of lost interest. And then with Pokemon Sun, I was like, all right, this is cool. Doing things a little bit differently. It was just a nice little ride, right? Like I think with Pokemon Sun and some of the later games, they made them, as games evolved, it was like, this is a kid's game. Let's embrace that side, make it colorful, this and that. And for whatever reason, it just wasn't as exciting for me. But with Pokemon Sun, even though it was a little like kiddish, it was still it was still pretty fun. So I got the Robin Hood bird. I definitely wish I had continued like started with like actually giving them nicknames, because I never actually did until we played with the normal Pokemon. So this would have definitely been like Robin Hood, right? Like this is the Owl Robin Hood. Decidui? I don't know. I totally forget how to say his name. It's probably, I hope it's one of those. So I picked that guy. It was a pretty easy choice for me. And then I got an Evolution. I got the Flareon. I was like, I need a fire type. I never actually had Flareon in my team before, so I was like, let's go Flareon. Marowak, one of my favorites, because you got Cubone, which is awesome. Decided to go with Marowak and Golduck, because I liked both of those guys. I liked Psyduck and I liked Cubone. And I was like, I'm going to get those dudes and I'm going to put them in my team and I'm going to evolve them and it's going to be awesome. What I didn't know is that there was an Alolan Marowak variant, so, or species, subspecies or something. So then it just looks like a little bit different and it's like a fire type or something. And I was like, yeah, that's dope. Let's stick with that. And I got another ghost type here, kind of a callback to Gengar. I was like, dude, I need like a ghost type in my team. So I got Miss Magius, and I thought that was pretty cool. And then the main character of the game, the Solgaleo, I was like, what? Like, that character is dope. I want that guy in my team. How do I get that guy? Definitely a little bit later in the game, but I was like, dude, in my team. Put that space line in my team. Like, that is awesome. So that's my Sun team. And I had so much fun playing this game that... Oh, and there's the sprites. Playing on the 3DS. So they're 3D. They're looking all cool. So I had so much fun playing this game. I actually played it twice. So this is my Sun Team 2 sprites. Ended up going with Primarina, Charina, some other hot chick plant thing. Call back to that other one that I had. And then it's so funny, like with these later games, I was like, dude, like what are these Pokemon? I ended up getting ones from like the 151 just to be like, all right, these are the ones that I know that I like. So I never actually used them in my team, so let's throw them in there. So I needed a fire type, and I was like, let's go Magmar. So that's why he's in there. And then Zygarde was cool. I was like, what is this? Some kind of Doberman Pokemon? That looks pretty rad. So I got the Zygarde at 10%. If you know that character, then you have to get like all these cells in the game. And after you get a couple, it turns into 10% form. And then I went with another Evolution, did the Leafeon, and then I got a Pikachu. And you'll see why in a second why I got that Pikachu. So this is my Sun Team 2 at the beginning of the game. So like halfway through the game, I evolved them all and I made some, switched out my team a little bit. So I still got the Primarina. but I ended up switching out for Gudra, which was like a dragon type, but it looked like kind of like a slug. Super weird looking. So I was like, what is that? I was like, okay, let's go for it. Let's go for it. It looks pretty cool. And then I didn't know that Magmar was going to evolve, but Magmar turns into Magmortar, which was pretty cool. And then if you get Zygarde in its complete form, then that's what it looks like. Some kind of transformer looking fucking thing. And then I ended up switching out the Leafeon for a Glaceon. For these EVs, you had to be like near these rocks, and then they would help them evolve. And then this is why I ended up getting the Pikachu, because I was like, are you serious? That Raichu, the Alolan form, is surfing on its tail like that? That is absolutely crazy. I was like, I have to get a Raichu. That is so rad. And it was like electric psychic type or something like that. I was like, dude, that's freaking awesome. We got to get one of those. So that's my Sun Team 2 evolved, and those are the sprites. So where do we go from here? Pokemon teams. The end. Am I going to play another one and then show you the teams that I got from there? I know that there's been a couple other games that have come out on the Switch. I don't really know what's in these Pokedex. I have no idea. For the cards, I'm sticking to the 151. You've seen that in my teams as well. I play a new game. I might pull like one or two. But for the most part, I'm looking at some of those classic Pokemon from the original 151. I'm like, shoot, I'll never play with that guy. I love that guy. Throw him in the team. So yeah, hope you like this. Kind of something a little bit different. I was like, I have some images. I have a couple things here. I got my Game Boy Color with my Pokemon Red in there. Whoa, whoa. Look at that. Super nice copy. Funny, right? All the stuff that's actually like fun and awesome is like, it's just like supply and demand, right? Like those things are expensive now. I'm like, man, if I wanted to get a copy of blue and yellow and green, green probably a little bit easier because it's Japanese version or it's like a hacked one. But red and blue, man, to get a decent copy, it's like up there. But those games are awesome and totally worth replaying nowadays, so I get it. And then I got Pokemon Sun. And then I showed you this at the beginning, but I'm going to show you again because it's rad. This is that soundtrack for the original game, which is awesome because that soundtrack kills. So hope you enjoyed this video. Totally we can talk about our Pokemon teams and more cards and that stuff in the future. But for now, the web's out and peace out.